All right, that brings us to the first segment of the night. It's Hot Take! The segment where we take spicy opinions and even spicier facts and put them together like a Nando's Perignaise. This first hot take is one of the hottest things that we're seeing in recent years now. It is, of course, a bushfire edition of Hot Take.
Bushfire edition.
Every year since the invention of the Brazilian, every summer Australians say goodbye to the bush. But this year is different. We are seeing more devastating fires of a more ferocious nature than ever before, and our Prime Minister is nowhere to be seen, which is why we branded this edition of Hot Take Sky Malone.
Bushfire and Sky Malone edition.
Where's he gone? Where's Scott Morrison? Where is he? Just to give you a point of reference, this is how many fires are happening in Australia right now. That's the amount of fires! Look at that fire. That looks like Scott Morrison just dropped a mixtape. Tin roof goes skring ding ting. Now, a lot of Australians are making the argument that we need fire. And that's true. A lot of a flora does need fire. A lot of seeds will only come out after a fire, just like a lot of Australian musicians will only come out after a fire. But it's getting bad. Scientists are saying this is going to be the hottest summer on record, which is great if you're a Brazilian babe staying at a hostel near the beach. But for the rest of us, we may as well be Irish backpackers living in a tin shed in Karratha. Yeah, the sun is to Australians what England is to the Irish. Yes, you sustain us, but would you stop killing us for 2 seconds? A university professor from Wollongong has said that we are now in uncharted territory, okay, for us Australians. Uncharted territory for Australians, like the areas in Indonesia that aren't Bali. We just don't know. We've got no idea. What is it? What is it? Just to show you how bad some of these fires are, it has really gone out of control. We've had 2 million hectares destroyed, over 1,000 homes destroyed. We've had 130 fires start in a single day in northern and southern Queensland. That is crazy. We're not even into the hottest part of the summer, and we've already had 3 times more fires than last year, all right? The McDonald's isn't even open, and we're already out of breakfast McMuffins, okay? And it's on fire. It's on fire. It's on... This is a worst case scenario. Okay, this is how bad the situation is getting. Check this out. This is a picture of the smoke. Look at that. That's the amount of smoke that's coming out of New South Wales right now. That is the second worst Australian natural disaster that can be seen from space, apart from Clive Palmer's Gunt.
Look at him. Look at that Adonis. Fuck, his stomach's so big it's running for a seat in a different electorate.
The smoke has gotten so bad that it's even travelled to New Zealand and turned glaciers pink. Look at that. New Zealanders are waking up looking at mountains like they're having a gender reveal party. If it's a boy, I like Kilimanjaro with a Q. That's the mum mountain. The dad mountain's all like, oh, why'd you invite me to this? These are all your mountain friends. Now, we know what's happening, but we need to know why. Well, it turns out we know that already. The link between rising emissions and climate change and increased risk of fires is as obvious as the link between being a stay-at-home mum and getting involved in a vitamin-selling pyramid scheme. Yes, it's going to happen. Yes, it's real. And yes, we need to intervene right now. Okay? A study in Queensland last year that found that temperatures associated with fires are 4 times as likely as a result of climate change. 4 times! That's as many times as I failed my driver's test, okay? Because just like the fires, I don't know when to stop. And because we're in uncharted territory, we have no idea how much worse it could get, all right? Fireys are saying that the conditions for a black swan fire event are emerging now. That is a fire event that was previously thought impossible until it happens, okay? Not to be confused with a blazing swan fire event, which is something that everyone thought was possible. What's that? The whole population of the Fremantle markets went to the desert for 3 days and took LSD? Yeah, that sounds about right. They are blaming the lack of prescribed burnbacks, but a study of Tasmania said there's only so much they can do. It would need to burn 31% of Tasmania to have any noticeable effect on the fires. That's crazy, all right? If Tasmania was a person, it would be missing an arm, a leg, and most of its teeth. The teeth are not part of the analogy. The experts say that we need a comprehensive fire plan We need a comprehensive fire plan at a national level because doing it at the state level just isn't enough. And you would have thought that in the face of all this evidence, the government would give in to that. That would make sense. But just like an old Greek grandmother, when you back chatter, ba 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 ba, don't be a smartass. The government, you know, those cool group of old people who look like deli meat in sweaters, have refused to fund more resources and research into fires. And more than that, this doesn't just affect fires. If you thought it affected fires, you are Ronald McDonald. Is that the right sketch to see? It affects people too. We are in terminal decline for the amount of volunteer fireys that are out there. We have had 17,000 leave brigades in the last 5 years. That is crazy, all right? And what's worse, Sydney dams are set to run dry by 2022. Dams now in Sydney are at 46%. They're in stage 1 restrictions. If they move to 40%, which is imminently they will, it'll hit stage 2 restrictions, which is alternating water days, no refilling your pool, and oh yeah, you can't wear those water camel backpacks in the CBD. You're in finance. What are you doing? What, you're not in a marathon, mate. The only race you're running is to get away from the person you thought you could be before you sold out. And what is the Prime Minister doing? Well, great question. Our resident leader and knockoff brand Lego head, Scott Morrison, has said that we could increase emissions without even affecting the fires. That's crazy. And Barnaby Joyce, shown here throwing mad shuckers, he was stated saying that the fires that killed 2 people in New South Wales, that those people were likely Greens voters. That is fucking crazy. He's blaming the bushfires on the Greens, which is nuts. If you're going to blame things that you yourself fucked on the Greens, wouldn't you blame the Greens for that mistress? Okay. And then New South Wales Premier and runner-up in the world's smallest face competition, Gladys Berejiklian. Look at that lemon face. Gladys Berejiklian. Gladys Berejiklian. That is the sound your keys make when you drop them in a storm drain. And just like dropping your keys in a storm drain, whenever I see her, I had the same reaction. I'm like, now I'm going to deal with this shit. Jeez. Okay. This is how much the coalition has cut from the budget. Nationals, 35% across the board for trained fire positions in national parks alone. Old BJ, she cut 12.9 million from fire services, rural fire services 26.7 million. That is absolutely insane, all right? But the government is just going with the idea that these things are going to happen. The government's just pretending they're like a girl downloading Tinder again for like the 5th time, like, maybe it'll be different this time. Like, no, it's wall-to-wall terrible. It's the worst. But the government's just going with the idea that you just got to strap in and that these things are going to happen, that you just got to deal with it. They're just victim blaming people that are living in bushfire areas like, oh, well, what were your homes and livelihoods wearing, eh? Yeah, it got a bit real there. I felt that. Yeah, no, it did. The truth is, these people are not going to go against it because if they did acknowledge something was wrong, they'd have to look at why. And they'd come to the exact same reasoning that the rest of us have, which is that burning fossil fuels is the drinking coffee of keeping a civilization going. Like, yes, it's going to get you through the day, but if you do it enough, you will shit yourself in public whilst Christmas shopping at a carousel last week. The bottom line is they're not going to go against these people. They simply make too much money from fossil fuels. And also, keep in mind, Scott Morrison is in a cult. I don't know, have we just forgotten this? He was in a cult. He thinks that the bushfires are God's punishment for, like, the female remake of Ghostbusters or some shit. It is crazy that conservatives are so for taking personal responsibility in instances of homelessness, drug addiction, and unplanned pregnancy. But then the second it's environmental problems, they're like, it's not my fault. Like, that's why they're so against abortion, because if it became legal to get rid of brainless sacks of piss, they would be on the chopping block next. And we know it. We know it. Which is why we're going to be starting a brand new hashtag whenever you're dealing with anything to do with the government, climate change, or their irresponsibility, and it is Climate Cowards. I want you to start using this across the board. for anything. We've got a couple of examples, a couple of jokes, a couple of tweets to see. First one, what do Scott Morrison breaking his neck and bushfires have in common? After both, he won't lift a finger. What do we do? I keep thinking. The next one, how many competent New South Wales premiers does it take to kill off koalas? None. And this final one, what's the difference between Barnaby Joyce at work and Barnaby Joyce at home? One fires is made after he fucked her in a bush, the other was made to fuck the bush in a fire.